the sovereign wealth funds. And the mandate across the entire region, from Saudi to Abu Dhabi to Dubai to Bahrain to Qatar, is AI and blockchain. And not just using Bitcoin as a reserve asset, but also building the entire government infrastructure on blockchain, driving licenses, property deeds, the whole bloody lot. So it's it's fascinating to see. And then a lot of people say to me, well, if all of this money's coming in from the sovereigns, that may produce an outside return. And I'm thinking, well, if we're going from 3 trillion to 100 trillion, which is my estimate by just extrapolating out the trend rate of growth, you need larger players each time because the market cap is bigger, right? There's no way you're going to get to 15 trillion this cycle unless you've got bigger players. So it's kind of, I don't think it's what people think it is. I think it's just a function of the size of the market. The bigger it becomes, the more that those people are involved. And the more blockchain technology gets used, the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails, for new forms of compute and storage and all the other things that are coming. So I just thought it was interesting because everyone's like, oh my God, it's a super cycle because of this. I'm starting to err towards, well, we've talked about this before, a longer cycle, just because the business cycle is still below 50. So generally it takes a while to climb up. And then we use the GMI Financial Conditions Index, and that has a 9-month lead. And with the dollar breaking down even today, it's starting to suggest that this may go even into Q2 2026. So it's like the whole cycle got shifted because rates didn't get adjusted and the dollar was sideways for a period of time. So it feels that potentially there is a chance, and again, there's no guarantees in this world, that we're more like 2020 than we are in 2021. Or it's it's spookily similar to 2017 for me.
Hey, what's going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest news in crypto so that you can stay ahead of the game. Today, we're diving into some massive headlines that could shape your portfolio for 2025 and beyond. But let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you're just one step behind the big moves in crypto? Like you hear about Bitcoin hitting $100,000 or altcoins 10xing, but by the time you act, the train's already left the station. It's frustrating, right? That feeling of missing out on life-changing opportunities because the market moves so fast. Well, here's the thing. Today's video is your ticket to get ahead. We're unpacking game-changing news from a crypto legend's identity to predictions of $100 trillion market cap. These stories aren't just headlines, they're signals of where the money's flowing next. And here's the kicker. Stick with me until the end, and I'm going to reveal a mysterious trading indicator that's helped me spot trends before they explode. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. It's like having a crystal ball for your crypto. But we got to move fast because the market waits for no one. Plus, we will be heading over to X to find out all the breaking news that's happening in the crypto world today. We'll also be heading over to Forex Factory to find out all of the red folder news you need to know about this week and go over the numbers that came out this morning. And we'll be heading over to TradingView to check out the charts for XRP, looking for our next support and resistance lines that we need to keep an eye on. Plus, we'll be taking a look at the short-term and long-term momentum waves. And so much more in today's video. So if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day in the crypto news like we do for you here on this channel, make sure you subscribe right now. And if you are still feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. First things first, let's head over to CoinMarketCap and check out the overall health of the crypto market today. First and foremost, massive rebound on the positive news we'll be going over in the video shortly here today, but we're up 5.29% in total market cap. We're now at $3.25 trillion total market cap. And as you heard in the beginning of the video, the potential of this reaching $100 trillion in the future. The bounce back was exciting, but that bounce back is from a very, very hardcore dip down to the $3 trillion mark just a couple of days ago. As you can see on the 30-day chart, we are down. This is now bearish market structure, but we are having a rebound. Let's zoom out on the yearly chart here. And as you can see, we did put in a new lower high and now a new lower low. So first things first, what we need to see is a break back above $3.5 trillion, then above the level here of $3.52 trillion, so $3.6 trillion to give us confidence back in the market. Fear and Greed Index reaching 37 today. Yesterday was a 40 and last week was a 51. We did actually fall out of the neutral zone into fear zone, but we are having a very strong bounce back today. Altcoin season index continues to do horribly. 16 out of 100. It is full on Bitcoin season. And that has everything to do with Bitcoin dominance still being at 64.5%, up 1.39% today. Checking in on the Bitcoin ETFs. This week's numbers have not reported, so we'll make sure to come back to this tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Heading over to Forex Factory, the important red folder news that came out this morning, which is Flash Manufacturing PMI plus Flash Services PMI. First and foremost, the forecast was 51.1, and it was a beat. It was a positive news number for us today, 52. The Services PMI forecast was a 52.9. It was also a beat, 53.1. Tomorrow, we have massive news coming out. Fed Chair Powell testifies. He will be testifying at the semi-annual monetary policy report before the House Financial Services Committee, and he has been taking a beat down on X.com over the last couple of days. Inflation sitting at 2%, but he's still continuing to hold the interest rates at 4.5. No one is happy about it. So Powell will be testifying both Tuesday and Wednesday, but then on Thursday, huge, most important number is going to be the unemployment claims. That's always important for Bitcoin. And then we also have the final GDP for quarter over quarter on Thursday. On Friday, we're going to have core PCE, which is the price index. Check back for these numbers. As we saw in the kickoff of the video, Raoul Pal says this cycle mirrors the 2017 cycle. And if that is the case, we are looking for a massive explosion to the upside XRP army, because that is when we had the massive explosion from below 1 cent all the way up to over $3 back in 2017, December 2017. But then an immediate crash, 2018 happened. And this is coming off of what he says is the important factors: AI, ETFs, and liquidity may drive crypto from the $3 trillion market cap we're sitting at right now to $100 trillion. Everything is coming on chain. And in something that is very, very rarely talked about in the mainstream media right now, the United States, collected a record $22 billion in customs and duties in May of 2025, which was nearly 4 times higher than the same month in 2024. And do you know where customs and duties come from, ladies and gentlemen? That is the tariffs. The country is taking in tons and tons of money from these tariffs. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be very painful for our country. However, inflation is down and we are starting to collect money from outside nations, the External Revenue Service. How soon until we no longer have an internal revenue service? Let me know down in the comments. Do you think that's even a reality? Now, personally, I do think that the IRS, the personal income tax, that will be going away. 2025, 2026, I don't know, but it's going away in the future, where our country will be taxing other countries to bring their products here, and we will be making money off that, the External Revenue Service.
We just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now.
And XRP Army, the wildest and craziest news that has come out in 14 years. Arthur Brito, the co-founder of XRP, has finally spoken. Who is Arthur Brito? This was a great post on X written by Pumpius, so giving him credit here. Who is Arthur Brito? We already know David Schwartz. You've heard of Jade McCaleb, but you've never seen the third co-founder. His name is Arthur Brito, and he may be the most important ghost in crypto history. This is Ripple's, XRP's Satoshi Nakamoto. Let's go down the rabbit hole on Arthur Brito. Arthur Brito helped build the XRP ledger, and it's not for speculation and not for memes, but for one mission: to create neutral bridge asset capable of handling global liquidity across borders, banks, and crises. While others were playing with coins, Brito was writing monetary infrastructure. He designed the 100 billion XRP supply cap. He co-authored the XRP white paper, and then he disappeared. No social media, no interviews, no spotlights, just whispers, just precision. They say he never stopped watching. And if you don't know what happened today on X, he randomly posted a smiley face with no face, just the eyeballs, and everyone is absolutely losing their mind right now. Some claim that Arthur Brito now runs PolySign, a company building institutional custody for a world that hasn't even arrived yet. Think multi-trillion-dollar rails backed by central banks outside the scope of public coins. And guess what? Ripple is tied in. Here's where it gets strange. Many insiders believe Brito wasn't building a coin. He was building a failsafe for the dollar system. XRP wasn't meant to moon. It was meant to replace Swift in case of a collapse. And Brito wasn't here after profits. He was building a protocol dominance. Ask yourself this. Why does no one talk about it? Why does every mention come with caution? And why do insiders call him the ghost in the ledger? Because Arthur Brito is not a personality. He's a mechanism, a reset engineer. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, Brito vanished. Why? Because those who build the rails of the next empire don't need followers. They need control. And XRP is his legacy. You won't find Brito in a podcast. You won't see him on X, but you will feel his presence when the system flips. When the dollar dies, when Swift breaks, when the corridors light up, then you'll know Brito was never gone. So great post by Pumpius. Now, what is your opinion on Arthur Brito? I know if you follow this channel, you've definitely heard of Arthur Brito before. Is he Satoshi Nakamoto? Are those two the same guy? Even though Arthur Brito did post, we still don't know what he looks like. At least I don't. And everyone that I've ever asked and talked to about, they don't know what he looks like. Even his avatar is just a little South Park style character. So very interesting to see what's going on there. And as you all know, there has been absolute craziness, turmoil in the markets, up and down, lots and crazy volatility. Well, today we saw a massive pump to the upside for the short term. Will it hold is the question. And the reason being is there is a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Trump did post out on his Truth Social account. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximate 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. So they're already sending bombs. They're just going to let them finish dropping the launch sequence, I guess. So for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start ceasefire. And upon the 12th hour, Israel will start a ceasefire. And upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectable. On the assumption that everything works out and should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States. And God bless the world. So very, very interesting scenario that went on there. Glad to see that it came to an end. Obviously, if you've been on X at all, there's been a lot of infighting amongst everyone talking about this and talking about that. No one knew what was going to happen, but luckily we do now have a ceasefire and there is peace on the Middle East for now. So congratulations to Donald Trump on getting that handled. The Federal Reserve has officially removed the reputational risk factor for penalized Bitcoin and crypto. So if you remember, banks have recently gotten the okay to start custodying and selling crypto to its users, but there were still these tiny little puppet strings being tied up in the system. Well, now Federal Reserve Board announces the reputational risk will no longer be a component of examination progress in its supervision of banks. So as you notice, the puppet strings are continuing to get cut from the reserve that no one likes to talk about. And one of the original OGs of Bitcoin, Adam Back, says Hal Finney was right. Bitcoin is going to $10 million. And if you're not familiar, Hal Finney, also one of the original Bitcoin OGs. Let's have a listen.
All thought that $10,000 was a pipe dream and never going to happen, right? So I think Hal Finney was just like, a decade ahead of his curve in terms of thinking about, that this could actually happen, right? So I think, because if everybody was 100% convinced, but it's going there, it would already be there, right? And so there's got to be doubt about the pace of adoption, how much more money is, and what the addressable market actually is. We don't fully know. I mean, I think Hal Finney's estimate is reasonable because still today, even though he made it, is because there is a lot of monetary premium where people are trying to protect themselves from inflation is safe by, buying real estate. In some cases, they're not even using it. It's just vacant. But, there's a lot of that in New York and China and different places, right? And that is not a great thing because it makes housing less affordable. And if there was a financial product or a monetary instrument that did that for you, it would make housing more affordable. So it'd improve, cost of housing, access to housing, quality of housing that you can afford on a budget. So those will all be good things. And there are other things with monetary premium or where people are trying to protect against inflation, like the bond market, and some more esoteric things like art, wine, where people use that as a kind of novel way to protect against inflation. And if you add all that stuff up, it's 200 trillion is possibly a conservative estimate at this point because we've had a lot of inflation between 2000.
So very interesting. Two people coming out in a very short period of time saying hundreds of trillions of dollars coming into the crypto markets. And in case you missed what happened over the weekend, here's the top news that happened in the past 24 hours. Over $1 billion was liquidated to the downside as Bitcoin fell below $100,000. Now it's pumped way back up. Central Asia's first Solana economic zone launches in Kazakhstan. Jan 3's Samson Mao met with French lawmakers to discuss Bitcoin adoption. Saylor did buy more Bitcoin over the weekend. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed the Bitcoin Reserve Bill, SB 21, into law. So it is now official. Congratulations to Texas and all of our Texas listeners out there. Chair of China's National Institution for Finance and Development, Li Yang, says stablecoins extend U.S. dollar power. So that's interesting. Do they want to stop stablecoin then? Because do they want to take over the power of the dollar and create their own? BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hedge says Bitcoin's dip below 100K is just money printers revving up to do the patriotic duty. $4.7 billion Cardone Capital adds another 1,000 Bitcoin and plans 3,000 more by the end of this year. Speaking of stablecoins, Circle's stock surged nearly 600% since its IPO, pushing its market cap above both Coinbase and USDC. So congratulations to Circle doing what it did. And I know some of you guys out there were very smart and you're starting to transition into some traditional finance stuff and got involved in that Circle IPO. So congratulations to you. This is like a meme coin run right here, up 600% in just a couple of weeks. Absolutely insane gains. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and head over to the charts now for XRP. First and foremost, I did want to let you know, we've been talking about this. Our long-term momentum on the weekly charts is still bullish. It's above the zero line. We are still green. Our short-term momentum waves have reset to zero. So if this pump continues for this week and next week, the candles just started though. This is literally a brand new weekly candle starting its pump to the upside. If we can get momentum building to the upside, then we can get our run like Bitcoin has already enjoyed. So when we take a look at Bitcoin, all of its short-term momentums reset on the weekly and had that massive pump to the upside, all within this range right here. XRP has not experienced that next level run. We know Bitcoin has. We also know Ethereum has on the weekly charts. That was the massive run to the upside here. But for some reason, when we look at XRP, it hasn't had that chance to make that next run yet. So there's a lot of juice to be expelled behind the XRP moon launch whenever it finally starts to kick in. Now, the other thing that we are taking a look at is the fact that our spider line that we've been talking about now for months, it did hold yet again the $1.96 area, which is actually the spider line from the drop of 2018, January 15th, 2018. When you draw a ray, a trading tool on TradingView called the ray, and you extend it from the weekly high of January 15th with the pivot point of the high of 2021, which comes to us from April 12th, the week of April 12th, and then you shoot those into the future, you get the spider lines. Now, this comes from CryptoFace, but as we can see, we were talking about this right here because this was a level that the bodies of these candles were holding. Very important weekly bodied candles right here. Well, we did get the wick exactly to that level, literally wicked exactly off that and started pushing to the upside. Today, we've had a nice push to the upside. The new daily candle is going to take a start just now, as we can see here. So we do have some really positive news on XRP. Our short-term daily momentum waves have all reset to zero and are starting to make the hook to the upside. So we had the big push, all the bulls stepping in when it got to this $1.9196 level here. Depending on how far you zoom in on the weekly charts, it's at $1.96. Right here, it shows $1.90 for the spider line, exactly where price bounced off of, starting to push to the upside. So we are having both the short-term and mid-term, the green and the purple line, come to the upside right now on the shaft trend cycle daily indicator. Now, our long-term momentum on daily is still bearish, unfortunately. So we need to see several consecutive days to the upside to turn from red to green. So we'll continue to monitor this in the charts. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. But we do have some very positive scenarios playing out right now. Number one, on the daily charts, as you see right here, we are breaking out of this downtrend. Now, one thing that we have to keep in mind, though, we had a massive candle to the upside, leaving a fair value gap to the downside that could potentially need to be filled before our next move to the upside. We could also have what's called a break and retest of this trend line right here. So we'll also continue to monitor that for you as well. Now, when we take a look at our 12 hours, we're still in the red for our 12 hours. Short-term momentum has started pumping to the upside. So we are looking good. We have a second continuation candle today on the 12 hours, about to break these levels here, which we need to be breaking. So let's get our lines lined up for us here. The horizontal line on the body of this candle, which we'll need to break right here. So we have $2.17, the next level need to break. After that, we have another weekly spider line right here at $2.25. We'll need to break above 225. After that, then we're going to be on our way to where we really are looking for. This is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, getting excited. We started having some momentum to the upside, and unfortunately, we failed at this level. But once we break above this candle here, which is the weekly candles from back here on March 24th and March 17th, those weekly candles, those were the highs that we almost broke right here, creating new market structure to the upside, $2.43. So quickly, what are we looking for on XRP? Well, first and foremost, we need to break above 225. That's our next level of importance, 225. After that, the rally continues. We need to break above $2.43. After we break 243, we're going to get some confirmation of new bullish market structure, a new higher high on this market structure. Then we'll need to break 255. But this is where it gets really exciting because the next level has an extreme shoot up to the $2.90 range before we run into another spider line for resistance. So as we take a look at XRP again on the weekly charts, if this ceasefire in Israel holds and it holds strong, I do see an absolute monster move to the upside, the one that we've all been waiting for. And what's also really interesting, when you take the Fibonacci from the high from April 2021 to the swing low of the area, and we take a look at where price ran to. So price ran to the first extension. This is on the monthly charts. You can see it did actually on the bodies of the candles. It did have a wick shoot above it, but it got exactly to the 1618 level on XRP. The exciting thing is, like we talked about, the next move, as we can see here, the next extension gets us to $4.71. That's the 2618. Then we have the 3618. That gets us to $6.40. And then you got the 4236, which is the full extension, which gets you to $7.44. Now, if the ceasefire does not hold and we continue this downward spiral momentum, if we break below $1.90, well, there are some fair value gaps to the downside. Currently, on the weekly chart, fair value gaps, there's one at $1.28. There's also one that brings us all the way down to 62 cents on the weekly. As we look at the daily, we can see last time we had this massive pullback, it did come right into a fair value gap here, $1.59. Now, below that, if it continues to fill fair value gaps below that range, you're looking at $1.16 to the downside. However, right now, we are getting some bullish momentum to the upside on the daily charts. We're running into that resistance level at 215. We do need to push through that. there is a possibility coming down, filling this fair value gap. It would also be breaking off of this very important support and resistance level. That would be the breakthrough retest. That level is exactly where our fair value gap ends as well. So that would be an interesting play out. But momentum is starting to swing to the upside on the daily charts. All right, guys. Now I wanted to share with you this secret indicator that I have found that has been doing a really great job of finding trends in the market. And that is called the OTT, or Optimized Trend Tracker. It is phenomenal, especially when you use it on the 4-hour time frame or below. This is a great way to find scalps. Now, it's not for swing trading per se, but the optimized trend in the short term. So for example, in this 4-hour trend, as we see right here with XRP, price came down. It did bounce off of our support line. So if you were wanting to take an extreme risk, you could have bought a trade in this range. However, when price started to make its way back to the upside and our optimized trend tracker passed over its signal line, we were able to get a buy signal. And from this level, which was $2.01, we can see it made this push up into $2.15. So when we take a look at the measurement on that, if we take a measure move to the upside, that's a 7% move. So for those of you doing day trading, if you're doing this on 5x leverage or 10x leverage, just 35 to 70% move to the upside. Now we are still showing bullish sentiment to the upside right now. So we're still in a buy, even though we're having that pullback like we talked about earlier in the video. We can also see one right here. Before this turned into a resistance line, as we can see, it was a pretty important support / resistance at the same time, but then it finally turned to support here. And we also had a breakout to the upside on a buy signal off of this candle right here. And that made a move of 7% to the upside. Now, what's also interesting, as this rejected and started selling off to the downside, we got a sell signal right here. And this sell signal came from this level here all the way down until it turned back into a buy, 11%. If you got out at this spot where it was going to be support, 14%. Imagine on a 10x leverage, it's 140% move. But as you can see on the 4-hour, it gives you some really good signals. Now, every once in a while, you'll get stuck in a chop zone where it's going back and forth, up and down on the charts. Like, for example, here, it's buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. So you do have to keep that in mind when you're using this indicator to keep your stop loss tight. But as we can see right here on this indicator, let's go ahead and take a replay to right here. So we were in the chop zone, buy, sell, buy, sell. You would have been stopped out a couple of times there. We're going to go ahead and play out the scenario. Candle starts, we get a sell, boom. Okay, now our sell candle has officially lit up. Right here is where we would place a sell. So let's go with sell at this level. And then we hit play. And then we would just let this play out until the buy signal flashes for us again. Now, remember, this is also on the 4-hour charts. So this is a lot of time passing by. So this could be a swing trade for somebody. We're playing out to the downside now. And remember, we know in our heads that that $2.15 level could end up being a level of support. So you could have even taken profit right there. It taps it twice, but it even breaks down further. So we continue on. And now the indicator is flipping to a buy signal right there. So we're going to go ahead and stop that right there. And what we can see is from the sell signal down to there, that was a $202 win based off of whatever leverage trading this was, which was trading 1,001 shares of XRP 1-to-1 on this paper trading on TradingView. So go try that out on TradingView using paper trading. Use the Optimum Trend Tracker. It's a free indicator. It gives you the buy sell signals. You can see the results there on the 4-hour chart for XRP. Let's take a quick look at this on Bitcoin as well. So we got the buy signal here. Got a good move. This was a buy signal here. Got a small move to the upside. Sell, good move down. Buy, good move up. So let me know down in the comments, have you used the OTT in the past and what is your strategy? Hey, bull runners, are you feeling FOMO about this bull run without the right financial support? We're here to change that. We're not just about funding, we're about growing your business together. Whether you're investing in crypto, kicking off a new startup, managing your existing business, or looking to expand, we have personalized funding that meets your exact needs. Imagine starting your business or getting capital to invest $100,000 to $250,000 at 0% interest. That's not a dream. It's what we do. We've helped countless entrepreneurs like you with 0% interest funding without needing personal funds, income verification, or collateral. With just a 680 credit score, you qualify. We understand that your business can't wait, so take advantage of our quick funding approach. We look beyond the credit score with inclusive approval process that sees the big picture of your business or investment potential. Our flexible repayments are tailored to match your business cycles, ensuring you can manage repayments without strain. With access to our extensive lending network of over 5,000 options, we're committed to finding the perfect match for your business or investing needs. Plus, you'll have our dedicated team by your side, guiding you through every step of the funding journey. Whether it's buying crypto, hiring new employees, or launching a new product, we're committed to your success. Click the link to connect with our expert advisors and secure your business's future now.